everyone, welcome to Pour Painting with Ron. In today's video we're going to be doing a large painting using the bloom recipe on a spinner, so it should be quite interesting, hopefully. Anyway, I'm going to be using this 40 centimeter by 80 centimeter canvas today. I've made sure it's nice and tight. And as usual, I've prepared the back with some painter's tape and some pins, and I've made sure that the canvas is level. Now, I haven't done a bloom painting quite this large before, so I've got all my fingers crossed to see if it's going to work today. But anyway, if you're not familiar with the bloom technique and the bloom recipe, I won't go through everything in the recipe in really great detail today. I've done that before. I'll just go through that quickly, but I'll put a link to a more detailed one that goes through all the steps at the end of the video that you're welcome to have a look at if you're wondering, if you have a few questions that you want answered about the technique. But anyway, I'll just go through it quickly. Basically, it's 3 layers. The bottom layer is your pillow layer, and all that is some house paint, some acrylic, water-based house paint, and I've just picked a low sheen house paint. Buy a large can because you use lots, as you'll see. Then on top of that, you'll put your colours. Now you need a high pigmented paint, so I'm using Jo Sonja's. They're expensive, but you don't use much. So you need a high pigmented paint. Any high pigmented paint will work or should work. And the colours I'm using today are, what's this one? Brilliant magenta, some brilliant violet, some ultramarine blue, and I did have silver and not much silver left, so I've used up the rest of the silver and I've just mixed in a little bit of the extreme sheen sterling silver. Hopefully it's not going to wreck it, but I've just mixed some of that with my usual silver colour from Jo Sonja's to give me my silver. Now you mix your paint in the pouring medium. Now your pouring medium is a mix of, again, wall paint, but this time you're looking for a low sheen paint and you need an untinted paint. Right, so some shops will say, no, we don't sell untinted paint, but they do. And just look on the bottom of the can there, it says untinted, and I've gone for the extra bright. Some people use the deep base. I've never used that, so I can't comment, but I find the ultra bright works really well. Don't pick a one that says mid because it makes all your colours go pastel-y looking. Ultra bright keeps your colours nice. Right, so you need some of that untinted paint and you mix that with polyurethane varnish. If you're in the States, you can use something like polyacrylic. I'm here in Australia, we get Jo Sonja's, so I use their gloss varnish. Whatever polyurethane you use, make sure you get one that's non-yellowing over time. So in the mix, you need 1 part paint to 2 parts of your pouring medium, and the pouring medium is made up of, let me just check, 1 part of the paint to, no it's not, 3 parts of the paint, sorry I can't read my own writing, 3 parts of the paint to 2 parts of the varnish. So 3 parts paint, 2 parts varnish. I just measure it out in grams, that's easy, and you mix your mix of that with 1 part paint to 2 parts of your mixed medium. I hope that's made sense. And then on top of that, you will need your cell activator. Now this is important. I'm using Australian Floetrol. Comes in this bottle. I believe the American one works a bit differently for some people. I don't know. I just use the Australian Floetrol because I'm in Australia. And I mix that 3 parts Floetrol to 1 part of the Amsterdam Titanium White. Now this works the best with this technique. Other brands may not give you the lacing that you're after, but any paint from Amsterdam should work for you. So I use the white. Some people use other colours, some people use black. and it seems to work well. All right, so that's all my mix. The colours, I just mix them together in squeeze bottles. It's easy to put on the canvas, and any leftovers you can just shake up and use again in another painting, because you really don't use much. The paint you use the most of is the wall paint, as you'll see. Okay, so let's get started. Right, hopefully you can see everything. I've prepared my canvas, all ready for the paint. Now the first step is to put the pillow on, and this is the scary bit where you use a lot of paint. I'll just get my white wall paint. Now these little lids are really good, makes it easy to pour. They just have them at the hardware store. Now I'm going to pour some on, and I'll spread it out with a spatula, and then I'll pour some more on. Now, I'm hoping I have enough to do a second one. We'll see. Okay. Then I've got my little cake thingamabobby. It's a bit like a cake decorator. Okay, you want to keep most of the paint in the middle. I'm just moving it over to the sides just to help everything slide once I start spinning the paint. You will lose quite a lot over the sides. I'll also give it a bit of a torch to get rid of air bubbles. If the air bubbles popping once you've done your painting will make little white spots over your painting. So don't shake the can to mix your paint, because you're going to get heaps and heaps of air bubbles. I just use a paint stirrer I got from the hardware store. Okay, I'll use a smaller spatula just to do the sides. Paint will drip down the sides, so you don't really have to be that particular. But I like to have everything covered before I start. As I said, it just helps your paint layer on the top to slide. If your paint layer on the top gets stuck somewhere, it's going to ruin your painting. So the whole idea of the pillow is to act as a movable surface for your other colours to spread out on. So you need to have enough there to spread out, if you get what I mean. Now some people tilt their paintings to create them. You can do that. I'm using a spinner today. I just bought a banding spinner, a banding wheel from the art store, a plastic one. I think it was only about $20. But you can use Lazy Susans or cake decorators, whatever spins well for you. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Just something that turns around. Now this big canvas is a bit big for the cake spinner, so as you'll see, I have a wooden board that I put on the top. Now, I haven't done the other side. I'll just come around. Yeah, not much space in my garage because I've got this enormous children's swimming pool on the floor here that I need to use to spin my canvas in. I've got a smaller one too, a dog swimming pool of all things, that I use for smaller paintings. I'm also prepping for a market and a pop-up store soon, so I've got paintings and canvases everywhere. at the moment. It's a bit crazy. Lucky I don't have kids, so I can just leave things lying around. And I don't have cats that will walk in everything. So I'm quite fortunate. All right, now it doesn't have to be super level. It'll spread itself out as you stretch it. Now, a long elongated painting like this, you do need to keep in mind where the paint is going to go when you spin it. Because of its length, the paint on the edges are going to have more force put on them, outside force put on them than the ones here. So the paint at this end will tend to spread further quicker than the paint here. So I need to keep that in mind when I'm putting it on the canvas. If I get too close to the edge, I'm just going to lose it all over the side. And whatever paint you put in the middle, it's going to stay in the middle, but you're going to get the biggest cells with, or lacing with. So don't go overboard with your center color, whatever color you want in the middle. You'll see what I mean in a bit. Okay. That was nice and messy. All right, now I'll put my pillow on and then I'll torch. Now I need to aim for the middle. See how much paint it uses? It's crazy. I don't know exactly how much, just whenever you think you have enough. All right, and then I'll give it a torch. Not too close, otherwise we'll burn the paint. Now for the fun bit. The silver I'll put on last, and then I'll put the other colours on first. Now I'm going to do a drizzle pattern with the colours. I like the effect that gives. I'm just getting rid of some dried paint off the top from last time. The white one's my cell activator. I'll put that on the side so I don't accidentally put that on the canvas. That would be a disaster. Now I'll start off with the darkest colours first and then I'll build up. So I'll start off with the blue. I gave it a shake before, but just give it another quick one. All right. Where will we start? Maybe here. Now I did make up about, how much did I make up? I made up about 40 grams or so, I think. Now we'll be looking, you don't have to be too particular. Okay, oh, maybe a bit more up there. And then we'll do some of this lovely purple. And if you do the lighter colour on the bottom, you may risk losing it. So I like to put the lightest colours on the top. this lovely pinky colour. It's almost like magenta. I'm not using gallons of paint, as you can see. But you do need to keep in mind that it has to spread out over your whole canvas. Looks interesting, doesn't it? Oh, something just landed on my painting. Get rid of that. Bit of dried paint, I think. All right, now the silver. I'm not going to drizzle like that. I'm putting it in the center. I think that's about the middle. I think that's about the middle. I hope so. Be interesting to see what the extreme sheen does. Hopefully it's not going to want to create cells. Okay, I hope this is going to look nice. Yeah, I'm using quite a bit of silver here. So I do want a lovely bit of silver happening in the middle of the painting. Okay, that's that. And then I need to put my cell activator on. Now you could, I have tried drizzling it on before and then spreading it out, but it tends to sink. So I put it on a bit at a time using this tool, whatever it's called, spatula thing. And I put a bit of cell activator on here, dip my spatula in, and then wipe it across my painting. Now, you don't need to press hard. The idea is to move the cell activator across the paint, taking some of the paint with it, but not pressing it down into your pillow. Now you could use a playing card or a bit of plastic, whatever works best for you. I find this works really well for me. So this is my 3 parts Floetrol and 1 part titanium white. So it's very thin. So I put some, oh you can't see, I put some on my spatula thing here, paint scraper. It's just the wall scraper from the paint shop. Dip the tool in so it's nicely coated. And then I just put a bit of an angle and I'll move it out. And if you've done it right, you should see your lacing beginning there. If you don't see any lacing, well, you just go over it again. Most of that's going to come off anyway. I'm particularly interested in what's happening in the middle. I'm going to wreck it a bit just to create a bit of interest. You'll see what that means in a bit. And once you've done it, you do need to let it sit for a bit for the lacing to develop before you spin it out. See how the metallic is staying in the middle? Now I always find the ends a bit tricky because I never have quite enough. Now you do wonder how it's ever going to turn into a nice painting when you're doing this, but it's amazing what pops up when you start spinning. Put a bit more cell activator on. You don't have to press hard, you're not pressing into the pillow, you're just wiping everything across the surface of the pillow. Bit too much white left on there. I'll go around and fix up errors later. You see the lacing on my first bit's developing more. You don't have to rush with this technique. It's not going to dry on you in a couple of minutes. I do need to clean this a bit better. I hope this is going to be nice. It's a lot of paint. If it's not, the house paint is not cheap because you use a pile of it. If you can only work in one direction, there's nothing wrong with turning your painting around. Okay, now there are a few bits that I might have to touch up a little bit, like a few corners. This bit here may not go all the way to the end, so just do that. That. We're looking maybe a bit here. Just see. Oh, I still don't like that up there. Don't want to do it too much, or you risk mixing your paint. Yeah. You can always put a bit more colour on it as well. Okay, I think most of that was going to come off anyway. Okay, we'll see how that's going to go, shall we? Let's put this aside. All right, now make sure that's in the middle. You can see it's pretty loose on the canvas. All right, now I'm going to just wash my implements a little bit, and while I'm doing that, this should develop nicely, and then we'll come back and we'll spin it out and we'll see what happens. So I'll be back in a minute. Oh no, before I do, I forgot this bit of wire. I'm going to create some lines through it just to create a little bit of interest. So just some squiggly lines like so. Once I've done that, then I will wash everything up. Now, I don't want to get too carried away because I don't want to wreck it. There's some like wiggly spider legs. Okay, now I'm going to wash my implements and then we'll be back. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, the lacing has developed as far as it's going to go. Now the next bit is to put it down on my spinner and spin it out. So I'll just move my camera and then we'll have a look and see how that's going to work for us today. Okay, well, hopefully you can see that. This is my big, enormous children's swimming pool. I've just put in some plastic liner so I don't wreck the pool. And on top of my cake spinner, I've stuck on just with some tape, some of my painter's tape, I've stuck on this wooden board. And as you can see, it spins really well. Sometimes I use thick canvases, so I've just put an upside down bucket at the bottom just to keep everything off the surface a bit so they don't get stuck when I twirl them around. So I'll get my painting and we'll put it on the spinner and see how we go. Trying to drip paint everywhere. There's a lot of paint on this. Now I have to see if I can get it in the middle. I'll soon find out if there's something wrong when paint goes in the wrong direction. Okay, step out of the pool, otherwise I'll get painted as well. And then I'll just do a test spin. I think we're more or less in the middle there. Maybe there's a lot going that way. I might just run this down that end a bit. All right. I'm going to lose a lot over the ends, as you can see. just keep spinning and see what happens. I could always tilt it as well. How are we going there? I might. Oh. See if I can tilt it a bit. Let's tilt it down. And then I can tilt it back. Okay. Let's try again. It's going to go where it wants to go. It's raining paint. It's creeping towards the edges. This one. In. Just about there, I think. Now there are some bits that are not covered, so what I'm going to do is get some of my colours and just put a dab of colour here and there, and see if I can get those white bits covered. Well, that was quite a bit more messing around than I bargained for, but I think we got there in the end. Not quite exactly what I was going for, but I think it's still really pretty. I'll bring you in for a closer look in a second. I think I could have done with a little bit more pillow paint, especially in the middle, as I had some trouble covering some of my edges, and in trying to fix the edges I made more of a mess, and I had to tilt it a bit more trying to fix up my fingerprints and other things that I did, but I think I got there in the end. So I'll bring you in for a closer look. I'll bring you down and we'll investigate a bit closer. I probably overstretched some of the silver trying to cover my edges, so next time I'll put more paint in the middle so it's easier to cover my edges. As you can see, I've got some lovely patterns happening. Some lovely lacing effects. The silver will look lovely when it dries. I think we definitely got there in the end with an interesting looking painting. So So what do you think? It's quite an interesting painting, isn't it? Probably not exactly as what I would have liked, and I know what I need to fix next time. Just putting more colour around the edges and a bit more pillow paint so that it's easier to get over the edges of my painting. And like I said before, I think a square painting or circular painting, much easier to do than a long rectangle one, because your paint flies off the ends much faster than it does off the sides. And most of my trouble was with the sides, trying to get the paint over the edge. So a few things I can work on next time, but I think overall the result is really, really pretty again, and it should dry really well. So I hope I've inspired you to give this technique a go. When you're starting out, definitely don't use a big canvas. Start with a little one and work out from there once you gain in confidence. Like I said, I put a link at the end of this video to the one that has all the details about everything, and that one's a smaller canvas, a smaller square canvas, which you should find easier to do as well. Now, if you like the video today, please press the like button. It really helps other people in YouTube land to find my stuff. And if you would like to see more of my videos, please take a moment to subscribe. So happy painting, and we'll see you again next time.